interesting. I mean, has it been rewarded at your institution? Well, yes, it has, but in very small ways, and it needs to be increased. That's the simple answer to that question. And the final question was, what's the future vision? Well, as most of you from the U of R know, we're in the midst of a strat plan, and so it's too early to indicate precise targets or goals. But what I can guarantee is that our use of technology will be based on the principles of cooperation rather than silos. Of course we compete with SciAst and First Nations and U of S. We'd be coy to say we don't. But we can cooperate in order to compete more efficiently, in order then to cooperate yet again. So that naturally we will want to maximize the recruitment and retention aspects of technology-enhanced teaching and learning. But in the broader picture of Saskatchewan, of Canada, internationally, we'd certainly want to share our box of ballpoint pens with our friends such as the U of S, SciAst and First Nations and the regional colleges rather than holding them or hoarding them for ourselves or taking recourse in the default nib, which is outmoded. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary, and thank you all for your opening remarks. I'm going to ask an initial question here, and we'll give each of the panelists a chance to respond to it. Then we'll be turning it over to you. And when we do that, if I could ask that when you get the microphone, if you would tell the panelists who you are and where you're from, and then ask your question, that would be much appreciated. So, my question is, I should explain. Recently, EDUCAUSE, which is a large not-for-profit organization in the United States with membership from right across that country and beyond, polled their members, and they have many of those. And out of that poll, they identified what they call the top 5 challenges in teaching and learning with technology. I'm going to ask each of our panelists, excuse me, to respond to this list. I'll read it in a second here, by telling us if there are any of these that particularly resonate with them and why, if there are any that they particularly disagree with or don't see as part of their respective pictures and why, or thirdly, if there are any that they would see as being equal to these 5 or perhaps even more of a challenge within their institutions or here in Saskatchewan. So the 5 challenges are as follows. Number 1, creating learning environments that promote active learning, critical thinking, collaborative learning, and knowledge creation. Number 2, developing 21st century literacies, information, digital, and visual among students and faculty. 3, reaching and engaging today's learner. 4, encouraging faculty adoption and innovation in teaching and learning with information technology. And 5, advancing innovation in teaching and learning with technology in an era of budget cuts. So those are EDUCAUSE's top 5. Barb, could we start with you and ask for your response to that?
Does this mic work?
Yeah, yes, I think you have to push the button.
See, I'm really good with technology. Actually, I'll maybe speak to the first one that Philip mentioned about promoting active learning and critical thinking, because I do think that's a real important aspect of technology and is in terms of teaching and learning, and is a real challenge to try to integrate that in the fabric of using technology when you're teaching. Just a couple of stories. We've been through a number of iterations of teamwork and development for course design, but I can reflect back to when we initially started in this, where we had some programs who were very adept in media. The new media technologies was the fundamental basis of what they taught. And that group really saw that they would be able to do a lot of the work on their own and they didn't need a lot of help. So some of the initial courses that they developed largely on their own with some support with the virtual campus. And it was interesting after a year or two to talk to those program faculty who would say, you know, we've learned the value of a team, and we've learned that doing development as part of a team and capitalizing on people's expertise actually help build better materials for the students in terms of developing materials that do create some of those active learning environments. So even though they may have had the skills, they maybe didn't have some of the time, or they didn't have some of the focus that they would be able to spend to actually put out something that the students could capitalize on as much as if they used that team approach. So I think that one of the things that we've learned is that sometimes people need to learn from making mistakes. It's not always the case that you can just say, this is best for you, you need to do it. I think it's important that people do have an opportunity to try some things if they think that it will create an environment that is a good learning environment, because we can all learn from each other. But I also think that it's helpful that once somebody makes mistakes, that they actually are able to pass that word around, saying, actually,